Hey all, thanks for helping out. We're just going to go over the columns here on this research for looking into potential mayors and cities to reach out to for trying to get either our resolution or other city by city steps moved forward. So first of all, there are two columns here. Basically, the first column, here's an example of what I filled in, is really where most information should go. The second one, in general, should just be for like references of where the website where you found information, perhaps, and any notes you want to put there for some that might require some explanation. You don't know big explanation needed, but if you want to, especially the website, I think would be useful, and if you want any other notes. Start out here. The first one's easy. Just the city, Los Angeles, two-letter state code, California. Your name, this row is basically notes on, whatever it should go on the first one. It's not saying in general what's going to go in the second one other than references and notes. So, here when I say keep your name consistent, if I do another one, don't go GMS for your initials, keep the same. So just, so here I'd also go Greg Schwadock, and make sure to fill that in right away when you start. So that way no one else researches the same person. Okay. So that's always the first step, is putting in this researcher here. This one you'll probably come back to at the end. This is your final recommendation, of whether you think we should, look into them or not. So, either yes or no. Just if you really can't make up a decision, yes or no, then just, leave it blank. If you want, write a note as to why. Population, straightforward. Budget, if you can find their 2018 budget, use that. Otherwise, just put a recent year. For the whole year looking at. So, right. So this is 9.2 billion was the Los Angeles budget. Okay. Likelihood of the mayor's 2020 presidential bid. So here for Garrett Garcetti, it's very high. For most others, it will probably be a lot lower, especially for smaller cities. This one I actually wasn't able to find for LA. Not every city might not have one. For example, I believe New York City has a goal of 80%, I think, reduction of greenhouse gases by 2050, or maybe there's a 2080 goal. I forget exactly what it is, but you would put, the year that would happen. So let's say for, if it was, what, Bernie and Hillary ran on for like the 80% reduction by, 2050, then we'd put in the target year would be like 2050, and then the amount of reduction would be 80. But I did not find that for LA, so I'm leaving that. So some columns do refer to the city and some do refer to the mayor. So then these are back to the mayor, their understanding of gradualism, and their climate action stuff. So here, for understanding gradualism, Garcetti seemed to really be pushing for Paris stuff. All these mayors come from a list of mayors that signed onto these kind of, we're upholding Paris for our cities, list. And he kind of seemed like pushed that, without any sentiment to this isn't enough. So I gave him a pretty low score here. So 0, Paris/carbon tax market policy will save us. 5 would be neutral. 10 would be they're on board with us and they understand Paris would kind of still equal the end of civilization. So climate action, I gave him a pretty good score here. Well, better than mediocre at least. stuff isn't too radical going on in LA, but they do have a lot of stuff. There's been a fracking moratorium, different, things that, have been moving forward. And I gave a link there to some stuff. Acknowledgement that serious mobilization changes. I didn't find anything in a short enough amount of time here, so I left that blank. But otherwise you put yes or no. This one I didn't get to either here, but, I might add another column for seems like a more updated version of this, so that if they signed on to this bill, I'll have to see if someone finds a kind of list of all these, let me know. I have not been able to find it so far, but maybe you can see if your mayor that you're researching has signed it. If they support fracking, no. For Garcetti, there's a moratorium. I've got some links to stuff about his connection with oil money and his connection with big money. So, you might want to look into, use the words like campaign finance, campaign finance money, things like that. Okay. Now here's, now we have 3 columns that repeat here. So this is again the same 3 columns, So this is a little bit more interesting here. This is to see if you can find someone, it's going deeper into the rest of the city government. So if there's a city council member, perhaps the head of a department, or a council member staff or the mayor's staff, that is really someone that we can target. And these might be the actual people, the most important part of this, that the actual people that we can go to. So, in LA, we've been working with Andy Schrader and Paul Kretz. Paul Kretz is a council member. Andy Schrader is his staffer, his environmental staffer, climate change staffer, that type of thing. So if you're able to find people's, staffers, especially if they're environmental, take a look at them. How radical are they? How much do they understand stuff? Maybe, you can find that. So, here, of course, Paul Kretz gets a 5 in the score of, he's listed as, the definition is number 5. So, someone like Paul Kretz or Andy Schrader that really understand the message fully and what we're trying to do are 5. 0 would be neutral. -5 is they're completely bought and paid for by Exxon. This is their name, of course. Here are notes. So I put mobilize.la, our website, as notes, of course, for Paul Kretz, talking very clearly, understanding the problem, introducing, emergency, mobilization department stuff in Los Angeles. Here, this code, he's a council member, so I put CC for council member. All the codes are right here, so you can always see that. So for Andy Schrader, if I had put him in here, he would have been council member staff, so it would have been CS here. And if not all these might be joined, you can join them. If you highlight them and hit join or merge cells here, you can do that. If, that here, this, I wasn't able to do this all the way down, so you can go merge cells and then those notes for that one person. So, I have space, it looks like for 4 here. If you need more, let me know. That is it for the columns. So, feel free. I think, some of this could take a lot of time. As I said, the most interesting part is the end here with the allies. It might be less the mayor that we actually go to, but the mayor could be an indication, and they are, of course, very important in city governments usually. Some of these, you could go down a huge rabbit hole of researching. So do notice that I left some of them blank. and I did, and this was very imprecise how I did some of this, like, these columns for understanding of gradualism and how much climate action. I mean, this one is climate action is something that should be able to be found. That's an important one. But understanding of gradualism, that might be hard. Acknowledgement that mobilization is needed, that might be hard. So yeah, kind of up to you. Like, if you're hitting a wall with any of these things, let it go. But there's a lot of, there's 340 names here, 340 mayors. And then, the more important part is checking out, these allies in the city governments. So that's the time to maybe spend a little bit more time. But, especially if it's not in a very liberal area, you're not getting a very liberal sense, from the mayor or progressive and climate change stuff, running into walls there, that's all right. You can move on. Don't need to do an in-depth research of every city council member, etc. You can use your judgment. Okay, thank you so much for your work, and mobilize on.